Hello everyone, and welcome to Anthem. Okay, so this is going to be kind of a one-off-ish thing, unless it does well. I don't know. But basically, I didn't schedule... Well, it wasn't that I didn't schedule well. I was going to schedule very specifically to have days end at the end of this week. And then I noticed that I made a mistake. And I accidentally duplicated a video, but thought that they were two separate videos, so I thought I had one more video this week. So, we're gonna do this. Now, Anthem is a game that I did not play at launch. So, these are not launch... Like, I have no clue what the game played like at launch. So, none of my impressions are derived from that. This is my impressions of the game starting literally playing it Saturday was the first time I played it. So Sunday. First time. Anyways, not important. It was, this is now 6 months after release. And I've looked up and kind of seen what people were saying and complaints about this game, because I didn't pick up this game because people kind of warned me away, saying that this game wasn't worth it, wasn't good. Now, this being said, if you're expecting this to be BioWare and a BioWare game, and what I mean by that is if you're expecting Dragon Age, if you're expecting Mass Effect, this isn't the game for you. I will legitimately say that that's not what has endeared me to this game at this point. Like, there are characters that, at least from the little bits, not even little bits, like, there's been some interaction and there's a storyline going, and I'm gonna kind of avoid a lot of the story unless we want to see more of this in the future. Then maybe I'll start a fresh character. Oh, hey. So, like, there are characters. I can talk with these characters. This is a character I can talk to. I'm not going to, because again, comments of, don't really want to give away story. I don't think you are relevant, though.
Look who's come around. Looking sharp, big star.
Right. Feeling better?
Yes, indeed. Flying high.
What have you been up to?
Freelancing. Always freelancing. And some shady business.
Shady business?
Oh, yeah. A sorry tale of woe, my glamorous friend. You want to hear it?
So, there's not a lot of, like, super long dialogue, but there's long dialogue, just not a lot of choices.
This is why I like you. You understand that when adventure comes knocking, you open the damn door.
It's chapter 1 of the Freelancer Handbook.
There's sexy danger, sexy bad choices, probably more sexy danger.
Tell me what happened.
I found myself in a game of chance with some dubious regulated types. Not the good kind. These were real knee breakers. In hindsight, it probably wasn't a good idea.
How did you end up there?
They asked. Who knows? What did I have to lose?
Beings. And, like, you only get 2 choices, but these choices are really interesting, how they play out and how they kind of decide how your freelancer, who is the other person talking in this, kind of looks at the world. And I've gone adventurous and maybe...
Nothing wrong with diving in, right? Sexy danger.
Risky
anyway,
choices.
This game, I kind of bet my javelin suit.
You did what?
I was confident I had the winning hand.
Let me guess. Sexy bad choice?
Affirmative. Turns out my cards were crap. Yeah. Ouch. Things got pretty ugly.
So you lost your suit?
Not yet. They gave me a deadline to deliver it. So I was sitting here, trying to figure out what I should do.
Make them a deal.
See if they want to do a trade. Instead of your suit, they might take something else.
I don't know. Maybe.
They're smugglers. They'll bargain for sure.
Yeah, you're right. I'm out there running across all kinds of valuable stuff. It has to be something they want.
They'll get it. They're interested in profits. That's what you're offering.
Okay, sounds like a plan. I'll talk to you later.
So, I have had a couple of decisions similar to that I feel like might lead somewhere in like little personal stories about some of these people. But for the most part, like, the dialogue choices so far haven't seemed to have like changed anything major. I've not seen any reverberations of decisions. So like, you don't get me wrong, there's a story here, and the story's been kind of fun. But it doesn't seem to have the depth that a lot of BioWare games have, and I think that's just because that's not what they're going for. But we do have a variety of characters. Now, one of the things that I have heard, and I'm going to go a little bit into this, is people's upset about the fact that there are microtransactions in a $60 game. And so let me first of all show you the featured store. So that purple currency right there is the pay currency. And you can buy all this stuff, and there's seasonal stuff that you can also buy.
Welcome to my store.
Though actually all these seasonal stuff, if you notice, are worth these crystals. These crystals you don't get from paying. You get these crystals from game. Okay. Crafting materials.
She's nice and a
you
great shopper.
Can't buy any of these also with that purple. You can see their price down here. So all that you can get is what's on this page. And technically, if you go into your Javelin customization, you'll see some more of this stuff. But all this has a price that's in-game currency. I don't know if that's always been that way, but it is now. So none of this is necessary. And the other thing about all this is it's cosmetics. So it's cosmetics to upgrade the look of your Javelin. I've not spent any money on this game. Don't plan on spending any money. Well, I can't say that. I may, eventually. But let's go into appearance. Wear state? Can't buy any of that. That's all unlocked. Animations. Animations is something that you can pay for. But the first thing they give me is the price in coins. And I've not actually seen a need to get shards. Like, yeah, you probably could. And it would make some things faster. But they start you out with a healthy amount of money. Like, they start, I believe I started out with 25,000 coins. And then I bought a couple things and did some stuff. Now, a lot of people, I think, are upset, though, less on the implementation and more on the principle of having microtransactions in a $60 game. And in that, my comment's going to be this. So this game is designed as a games as a service model. So that means they plan on continuously updating this game. And they have. I actually started playing in one of the major events known as the Heart... No, it's not Heart of Rage. It's... We're gonna actually start an expedition anyways. And it'll mention it when I do this. You technically don't have to go up to your suit to start an expedition. You can do it anywhere. I just think that's cool. Echoes of Reality. So this is the first major content piece. Now, obviously I'm not doing this right now because this is end game. Way at the end there. And I'm not there yet. So, I'm actually, let me kind of change mission and look at which I try to go for the closest mission to base. I've been playing on hard. Now I will let you know, if you are a lone player like me, you do actually have to go to privacy settings down here and set yours to private, otherwise it will attempt to matchmake you. And it lets you know that this is not how it's meant to be played. And I'm very aware of this, but this is how I've played up to this point, is playing solo. So don't have experience of how it plays with other people either. But all things considered, this game is a AAA title. So a AAA title, we have come to expect them to be $60. But at the same time, I feel like, especially nowadays with the way AAA's gone, that's a very unrealistic expectation. And let me explain this a little bit. Like, yes, AAA games have always been $60, but AAA games keep getting more and more expensive. A lot of these are multi-million-dollar projects that are made with complex, vast systems, and to upkeep and add new mechanics, new items, and things. If it's built robustly, it's not terribly difficult, but missions still...
We're in here. Again. The Sentinels don't have the resources right now to fix these beacons, so... appreciate it.
Things went so smoothly last time we worked together. How could I say no?
Funny. That's funny. I'm sending you the direct route now.
So, and all missions kind of start like this, but I am going to actually turn some voiceover down. So it seems like all of these are independent. I'm just gonna... Master volume doesn't seem to be working. I'm gonna be right on par with that. Like, this game is not without its issues. But this flying feels great. Now, mind you, I've particularly picked the class that this is meant to be agile. I think it's the only one that has a triple jump. But it feels good to play. And I think for a game this quality, and like this has been a pretty vast expanse, I don't think there's that huge of a variety of enemies, but all the enemies do feel very distinct. They all feel very different from one another. You're not seeing a lot of like recycled enemies, just with a slightly different skin, which I do like. Aside from that,
So, tell me more about these beacons.
we're gonna sit here and talk.
Again.
Again.
But they're also useful for those arcanists we're constantly saving.
How so?
The scars are always cornering them.
No, I mean, how do the Arcanists use the beacons?
Oh, right. The beacons collect information on the scars. Movement patterns, other science things, I guess.
Okay. Well, I'm not super worried about, like, showing you the story, but that's also another thing. There's a lot of voice acting in this. A whole lot of voice acting. And voice actors cost money. And, like, the voice acting is spot on. And there are things here definitely, like, probably could be better. Like, there's not a too terribly large amount of, like, your character outside the suit's customization, but at the same time, I've seen that character in the character creation screen. You got to pick their face, and whether you were playing a male or a female. I've not seen them again. I've seen hands, and I've got to hear their voice. That's been about it. But all the controls feel super responsive. So for a game, yeah, it's $60, but there's a lot of money that needs to be recouped for that $60 asking price. And unfortunately, BioWare also kind of had a big flop recently. And unlike how a lot of people think that game companies run, most game companies, or at least studios, are budgeted project to project. If they're lucky, they can deal with one flop or two flops without closing. But a big commercial flop, like Mass Effect Andromeda, tends to make companies wary. And so Anthem, a game that's $60 up front, and promises to bring money in the future with a microtransaction store, seems safer bet to publishers. This is kind of how it is. But the thing is microtransactions in this game could have been a lot worse. Like, and I'm not gonna, this isn't a $60 game, but this is the closest thing that I can think of that I know the microtransactions are very different. And that's Warframe. So, Warframe, no, it's not $60 to start out with, but their cosmetics actually change gameplay. You can buy equipment, you can buy resources, you can buy new frames, you can basically buy anything with real-world currency. Where in Anthem, the Javelin I have, I got for free. Every Javelin you get is free. You get your first one at level 2, your second one at level 8, and I haven't really played with my second Javelin as much. I very much like Interceptor, but it's entirely just based on progressing through the game, which is something I think is cool. Now, the thing is, there are other comments that a lot of people have made about endgame content. So I haven't gotten to endgame content, so I can't tell you whether endgame content is lacking. But here's generally my comment about if there is lacking endgame content, especially with the games as a service. So first of all, if it's lacking endgame content, they can update. Yes, there probably should have been some more endgame content, but from what I can tell, they end an arc, and that is the end of what they did, and they had a couple things afterwards, but they very much expected to put out content updates, like, oh, what's it called? The content update I mentioned earlier, and to keep people playing that way. But the other thing is my big thing about someone who complains about there not being endgame content is, in my mind, they are essentially saying the bad thing about this game is that there is not enough of it, which seems like a very strange complaint. Like, yes, it's a complaint we make all the time, but to wage that as a legitimate complaint against why you should not buy a game? Like, I liked Hollow Knight. I would have loved there to be more Hollow Knight. Just being, like, I'm just fresh off of Hollow Knight. I would have loved there to have been more Hollow Knight. And they're gonna make more. But for me to complain that you shouldn't buy Hollow Knight because there wasn't enough Hollow Knight in Hollow Knight, it just feels weird to me. And that's my opinion. Feel free to beat me over the head later in the comment section if you disagree. The other big thing, and this is something I legitimately cannot say much about, is there are people who've talked about legitimate bugs. And honestly, we just saw one where I've just actually noticed that like the master volume doesn't work at all. It seems to not function. Like honestly, that's not a big deal to me though. Like the game's fun. I enjoy the game. If I have to go and change my volume settings independently, okay. Whatever. There are a lot of things that in a game this big with this much going on that slips through the cracks. Yeah, we can say, you know, video games 10 years ago didn't do this, but video games 10 years ago were also far smaller. Projects now have gotten so much more complex. And like, this is something that I am aware of because I work on games, I'm learning a lot about them, so I get to see, like, if you look at a game engine on how the actual, like, game engine is built, all of the different systems in it, it is massive. And that's the engine. That does not include any of the systems that actually make the game work. And also, I'm going to point something out. If you can see right now, one of the feet of my javelin, actually now both of them, are submerged into this platform. You understand that almost every game has that bug? It is present in almost any title out there. Now that's not usually what people are complaining about. People were complaining about things like in missions where you had multiple people, if they had like a open 6 chests, everybody had to open the 6 chests individually. So if you were playing with 4 players, that is 24 chests you need to find. And it was mentioned by the developers that this is not intended, but everyone's like, why isn't that something that was fixed? And I feel like that should have been, but that's the thing about a games as a service. It is going to be updated, and they've said that. And so far, like, I've not run into any issues, but anything that's multiplayer specific, I'm not going to run into. Hopefully soon I'm going to get other people to play this game with me, and that's kind of what I'm lobbying people towards. But that's kind of my first opinions on it. Now, the other neat thing is I have actually got to listen to a lot of the developers talk about this game and I'm not talking in press releases. I am talking about listening to a developer talk about making this game to other developers. So, if you're unaware about me, I am aspiring game developer, and well, I shouldn't really, like, I've worked on stuff, but I've for the past several years have gone to the game developers conference, and one of the stuff that I listened to was Anthem, and I actually got to hear about Anthem.
I've got a signal, freelancer.
One day you'll stop sounding so surprised when I get things done.
Well, I know.
In some earlier GDCs before this coming out.
One thing about the next beacon.
Yes?
It's in the middle of an established scar camp.
Sounds like a fun challenge.
Okay. So, the thing is, like, I got to hear about them talking about this game a while before it came out, and, like, I didn't get to hear a lot of specifics, but there was a certain amount of hype that anyone that talked about it had, that they were excited for this. Which is really cool to hear, and it's part of the reason I wanted to play this game.
So what did the Arcanists do with that information?
From the beacons?
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out what scars are, where they come from.
Interesting.
Probably.
And this is the other thing. Like, there's a lot of this little dialogue with every mission, and it's all specific to the mission. I've not heard that dialogue before, which is why I keep and stop talking.
This is the place.
My brain's not
What
working.
you do best.
Flatterer.
Now, I am not playing right now. This is normally how you'd play the game. That's not how I chose to play the game. This is how I play the game. This is how I really like to play the game. But there's a lot of cool special effects going on here. And that's actually some of the fun stuff. And there's also like a lot of little ease of life that I don't think everyone all notices. Okay, he's glitched. I'm not gonna say much about this. I've seen this in far more games than just that. Like, it's a... Oh. That's my new sniper rifle. I like it. I've not actually used this yet.
I did notice.
It doesn't have the big boom that it used to have of my last sniper rifle. I've also heard, like, there's not a huge variety of weapons. And, okay, I'm not gonna... I missed. That's something that I think makes me do more damage to somebody.
Oh, I wish these spars would buzz off.
Seriously?
There. Like, I've probably seen majority of the weapons at this point. And then from there, it's you loot better versions of the weapon, and you basically pick which weapon you like the best, and just find the best upgraded version you can. Which, I guess, like, from a standpoint of there's not as much content as people would like. Okay. But this game is coming with free updates. And there are people who don't like that as an excuse, but
There are a lot of dead scars in the area.
Go figure.
you know, I can't necessarily
There's just one
blame
damaged
them
beacon left,
for that.
All over it.
Like, the content they have is all, like, they've got a whole bunch of really diverse terrain. And yeah, I could see how some of this is set, like, smaller set pieces that have been built together, but let me take just a second. And can I pull up the map? Yeah, cool. And there is a huge amount of area that you can traverse. We have gone this far. So far. And yeah, most of the time you will spend flying over this. And there's not always really stuff, all that much in between objective points during missions. I think this is blocked off because it would take me into a dungeon. But there is also dungeons that you can do, and there's not that many. Like, and a lot of them are scripted specifically for very specific things. One of the other complaints, and I will, like, even up to this point, I will agree, is basically, like, there's not that many different types of quests.
Job well done, freelancer.
Was that a compliment?
Okay, that's just me picking up a...
Wait, there's something.
What is it?
Now the beacons are active, I'm reading a massive score presence nearby.
Oh, this is gonna be great.
Say no more.
Okay, so she's just asking me to go fight some more stuff. So it basically comes down to there's stuff like the beacon, where I stand next to it, it loads up a bar, and that's done. Pick up like a specific item and take it to a thing. And then there are kill quests. And that's a lot, like, of how this game is. But at the same time, let me go to another very popular game that has been popular for a very long time. World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft. And let's go because
How did we miss these scars?
Classic's just out. What does...
We had no way of knowing.
Good thing we fixed that.
Yes. This was very, helpful.
Was that so hard?
No, scars ahead!
They have fetch quests, kill quests, loot drop quests, talk to person quests. That was a lot of World of Warcraft for a very long time. And honestly, a lot of games, like, when you break it down, a lot of quest objectives are essentially based on some very simple... You might occasionally have an escort quest. And honestly, do you want escort quests in this game? Mostly people hate escort quests. So, you know, it's one of those things, like, that's not something I'm gonna necessarily beat them down for.
Found them. There's Arcanist
It-
machinery everywhere, Bryn.
Be
What's going on?
nice.
I don't know, but these are definitely the scars on my readings. Deal with them now, talk later.
It'd probably be nice. Okay, I don't have a lot of health. And I'm talking, and this is making... I tend not to lean on my ultimate super much. You will probably see me doing it more here, because I am trying to not die.
Okay,
And
there's
playing
Warden.
solo, I tend to
Yes, there sure
be
are.
very careful with my ultimate because of...
Stealing Arcanist equipment!
They can't hear you, but I appreciate the effort.
Okay. Must finish this off. So, all in all, like, I don't think this game is for everyone. Definitely, like, there are going to be people who will not like this game. It's got a Diablo-style loot system. If you do not like that, don't even play this game. It's very much a run-and-gun shooter.
You're really very good at this part.
Thank you.
And I actually, like, a lot of people would probably prefer a silent protagonist. I actually enjoy the character they have here. Because it gives some more life to these people that you're playing as. Because you are playing people. And I've liked games okay. Because I'm a huge fan of The Witcher, and The Witcher does not have a silent protagonist.
We've got a bigger problem.
Quite the opposite.
Relic went volatile.
Okay. Here's one of the other types of quests. Take it back. Now, there are even simpler versions of this quest that don't require you to actually pick things up, you just have to run near them. This one is slightly more complex because it's also constantly spawning creatures, and a lot of these relics that you'll run into do that. Which is just kind of interesting. Like, it's a specific type of almost boss battle where the boss can't be harmed by except for this thing. And then you have its ads. And as a general,
Take care of these scars.
you've got to clear out the area once you're done. Ouch. I need to get better at aiming. Whoop! That's mine. Time to do what I'm good at. Which is this. But yeah, I've found it a very good experience so far. And I can't say like how it continues. Like, this could be the best 4 or so hours of the game. But at the same time, I don't feel like that's going to be the case, because what I'm enjoying about this game isn't the quests. And this is generally my opinion of what makes a game good. Like, what makes a game satisfying shouldn't be like, okay, and I'm gonna put a caveat to this. Shouldn't necessarily be the story, unless that is very specifically what they're going to tell. There's probably a better way to handle these Scars Enforcers, but I've found that my ultimate, where I'm invulnerable, and I am invulnerable during this period, is
That was
the best way I've ever found to deal with it.
You did it! It's what I do. Tag this equipment for Sentinel recovery. Please.
And like, I get those minor crystals that I need for the seasonal stuff. And there's all sorts of like little things. There's also occasionally like search things, and also, if you didn't notice, when I was looking for the thing, there was a dial up top that kind of showed me what direction to go.
There.
And that
Tagged one of the
is actually rather helpful in chaos of
See you
combat.
back and forth, freelancer. Thank you.
Cool. And there's a loyalty system for the couple of factions that you've run into. I'm not gonna say that this is the most interesting story. Well, not even, like, the story's interesting. It's not the least interesting, but yeah, it's not the most interesting story I've ever seen. It's also not the most interesting quests, but combat is satisfying. And that's kind of why I would say that this is worth it. Again, this is if you're on the fence. If you played it, you don't like it, I'd maybe suggest giving it another shot. Unless it's going to cost you money. But at the moment, it's like $20-ish. I found it for $20 at Walmart. It was worth the $20. I probably would even pay $60 for this game. I have enjoyed it enough. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed this. I think I'm going to be done because I actually got to move on to recording other stuff today. But this was just kind of a fun little thing. If you like this game, want to see a little bit more of it, let me know. Otherwise, we're going to be doing lots of Kingdom Hearts from now on, and then I'm not entirely sure what else I'm going to get to. And this is also the loot drop system. In some cases, it is literally like, I got 2 of the same thing. I'm going to just delete one of them. And salvaging gives me parts that I can use to craft other things. But yeah. It gives me a very Monster Hunter feel. So yeah, like, there's the base, and then there are little missions that you take out of the base, which I enjoy Monster Hunter. And Monster Hunter is also doing a kind of games as a service. Yeah, they don't actually have paid content, but also I don't think their content patches have been as large. Their big, large content update in the form of Iceborne is an actual separate thing that you pay for. And I don't think that's the way that they're going with this. So, again, if you are interested, if this looks cool, come join me play. Yep, come join me play. I can do the speak in the English. But come join me. I'm going to be playing this game probably a bit in my off time. And I believe, at least at some point, it doesn't right now. If I hop into this, let me see if... Okay, I'm going to just grab a mission, the first mission that I can. Okay, this is my origin name. So, if you guys want to come join me, I'm going to be trying to get friends to play this, so... It's actually been a lot of fun, so... If you're still not convinced it's worth the money, yeah, to each their own. So, hope you guys have enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!